Hello, my name is Michael Diamond, and I'm going to be giving you my take on the COVID 19 coronavirus. Now, the first thing I'm going to start off by saying is I absolutely refuse to live my life in fear. Okay, my take on what's going on out there. First off, when I look out there now, to me, it's like a bad science fiction movie come to life. There's a few things that do worry me, and it's not the virus. Uh, I've always said if you have a population in fear is a population you can control. Right now, we have a population, not just in the United States, a world population in fear. The economy is taking a major hit. Businesses are forced to close. People are out of work. Unemployment is going through the roof. You make people dependent on you, you can control them. So that now we have two methods of control that are being put in place. The third one is, and I've been saying this for a while, it's something that I'm afraid of. They want to eliminate physical money and turn everything digital. I find something like that to be extremely scary and another means to control you. We have people in this government that want to turn this into a socialist country, and steps are being put in place to initiate that. And what we're getting right now with our freedoms that are being either eliminated or taken away from us, what we're getting right now is a very little bitty taste of socialism. I hope it's a wake-up call to everybody out there to realize, I don't care, you can call it democratic socialism, you can call it whatever you want. Socialism is socialism, and socialism has never worked. Not once in the history of this world has socialism worked. Okay, let's get on to this virus. Now, first thing, let me address. Call me a racist if you want. I don't care. I'm comfortable with what I am and who I am, and I know what I am and who I am. This virus came from China. There's no questioning it. The virus came from China. Was it intentional or not? My personal opinion, and I think there are a lot of people that agree with me, it was an intentional act in response to the new trade deal with China that was put in place. Is it just coincidental that all this came out right after the trade deal? I don't think so. Now, I'm not saying there were people in our government that were in cahoots with the Chinese government. Oh, let me get back to the Chinese government. Uh, just a note, for those of you who remember Mao Zedong, how many millions and millions and millions of his own people did he kill? This Chinese government now is no different than the government under Mao Zedong, just a different name, and they have no problem killing their own people. If a nation is willing to kill millions of its own people, it'll have no problem killing people outside the country. Okay, back to where I was. Now, I'm not saying that there are groups within our government that are in cahoots with China, but I think they took a situation and are running away with it and taking advantage of it. I also find it a little more than coincidental that this all came up just at the beginning of the election campaign for 2020. We all know that for 3 years they've been trying every which way to get Trump out of office. Nothing worked. Is it a coincidence that this all popped up just as the election campaign started? I don't think so. Now, I think what they're doing is they're trying to use this. This scenario is perfect for the people in our government who want a socialist government. You are putting the population in fear, you are making them dependent on you, and you're taking the necessary steps to achieve what you ultimately want to achieve. How dangerous is this virus? I don't think, when all's said and done, the numbers are not going to be much different than the numbers relating to the flu. This last flu season, 80,000 people in this country died. I think when all's said and done, you're going to see this about the same numbers with this virus. Now, you might say, oh, well, it's 80,000 people. That's a lot. Shouldn't we try to save those people who can potentially die? Yes, you don't want to lose life. It's not nice. It's not a good thing for people to die. And I'm not asking for people to die. I don't want people to die. But what about the 80,000 people that died during the last flu season? When the flu season started, why weren't these measures taken to help ensure that those people don't die? The people that ultimately perished don't die. So you're going to pick and choose what virus you're going to address, and you're going to pick and choose whose life you want to save. Something to me is very, very wrong here. Now, as far as, they're quick to give you numbers on people getting infected, on people that are dying, but they're not giving you numbers on people that have had the virus and are absolutely fine now and have recovered fine with no issue. We're talking over 150,000 people and counting that we know of that recovered from this. But no, the media insists on giving you all the gloom, telling you of all the bad, don't tell you any of the good side of it. That people aren't just getting sick and dying. People are recovering, and the large percentage of the people are recovering, and most of them are recovering without any treatment. But they're failing to tell you this. As far as the numbers, I don't trust them whatsoever. You know, the head of the world, someone from the World Health Organization came out and gave uh, numbers, something around 3.5% mortality rate. Well, a microbiologist from Israel stepped up and said that those numbers are just way off, and he puts it more at somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5%, which 1.5% is a lot. It's a lot more than what the flu is. But then he goes on to say that even those numbers are not accurate because we, at this point, do not know how many people actually have contracted the virus, and there are not enough tests yet available. And once they get a more accurate assessment of how many people have actually contracted it, that mortality rate is estimated to drop down to more like 0.2%, which is on par with the flu. I don't know where we're going to go from here. Now, if I go out to a store now, as of this morning, if I go out to a store now, or if I go to work, I'm listed as an essential worker. If I have to go to the store to go shopping, something I need, or when I'm at my job, because I am labeled an essential worker, I'm required to wear a mask now. Now, somebody from the CDC even came out and said that the mask is not going to protect you from getting it. It might, if you have it, it might help you. It might help prevent you from spreading it, but it's not going to help you protect you from getting it. But it also goes back to what I was saying is, just a moment ago, I am not convinced that this is any more serious than the flu, and I'm willing to bet when all is said and done, and all the numbers come back, and we got a real good idea on what these numbers are, an accurate idea, a more accurate idea than what we have right now. This is not any more different than the flu. We're putting, and the media, let's say I'm totally wrong on this whole situation, and this is a more serious thing than I believe it is. For the sake of the argument, I'm wrong, and this is more serious, much more serious than the flu. Our lawmakers, our politicians, and media, their job shouldn't be to instill more fear in you, because when you're in fear, you do not think and act rationally. Their job should be to try and calm the public, and they're doing exactly the opposite. They're doing everything they can to instill paralyzing fear in the population. I went to Walmart this morning. I was out getting my girlfriend some breakfast, and I needed one thing in Walmart. Keep in mind, I was there yesterday, no issue. I went to walk in there, and they stopped me from going in. They said I need a mask. Okay, I took my sweatshirt and put it over my face. They allowed me to walk in. I walked in, put it down, walked over to the aisle where the item was that I needed. I saw it on a shelf, and there was a man standing a couple of feet away from the item that I needed to pick up, and I reached for it, and he jumped back 5 feet, petrified. Because at this point, I'm not wearing a mask. what has the society has come to? When this is all said and done, and this goes past us, we're gonna this world, this society, this country, this world is changed for good. People are not gonna want to shake anybody's hand. You see your friend you haven't seen, you're not gonna want to shake their hands. You're not gonna want to hug or kiss a loved one. We're gonna become robots. For what? For something that's no different, no more of a risk to us than the flu is. Yeah, the flu can be extremely serious to a certain segment of the population. People with compromised immune systems, elderly, people with pre-existing health conditions, but that goes for any other things also. People that fall into that category are always more susceptible, so you take precautions. Now, another thing, let me get to. You got all these people running around with these hand sanitizers and spraying everything, this and that. First off, if your hand sanitizer isn't over 68% alcohol, is not doing you any good anyway. Most of these cleaners that are being used to prevent people using to clean everything up to prevent the spread is not cutting it either. What you really need is a plain old grease, anything that's grease cutting with Dawn. Now, what I'm about to say comes from Johns Hopkins University. This is not a living organism. It's a protein molecule that's encased in a protective layer of fat. That's why all you need is, that's why the heat, as the weather gets warmer, you're going to see this disappear. What happens is, of the fat when it gets cold, it gels, it solidifies. As it gets warm and it heats up, it softens, it liquefies, and that's why once the weather starts getting warm, this virus is not going to be able to survive. And because it's made up of with a fat layer and protective fat layer that it's encased in, any grease cutting cleaner will break up that protective layer of fat around it. Now what happens is it exposes the protein molecule, and that will degrade on itself and be no more. It's like leaving a piece of chicken out on a counter in the warm weather. It's going to go bad pretty fast. Is it a man-made virus? 100% yes. And I've gotten this from same thing from a few different medical sources. The coronavirus itself enters the system through one receptor, one pathway. What was done with this, some DNA was taken from the AIDS virus. Now, I'm not trying to say it's going to give you AIDS. Some of the DNA was taken from it and used and attached to this. Now, the DNA that was taken now with the AIDS virus, it enters the body through three separate pathways, three receptors. So by altering it, by adding some DNA from the AIDS virus, you're making it more easy to transmit to other people. But just because something is more transmissible does not make it more dangerous. Yes, this was a man-made virus. I have no doubt in my mind that it was. Let me sum up what I've just said over here. This is a man-made virus that came out of China in retaliation for the trade deal that took place shortly before this whole chaos started to ensue. I don't think powers within our government were in cahoots with China, but I damn sure believe they've taken advantage of the situation. These are the same people who want this to be a socialist country. So now they're using this to instill fear. They're using this to break the economy as steps in turning this into a socialist country. No, I do not think this is more serious than the flu. I don't think the numbers that we're being given are accurate. And okay, let me just add this in also. And I've heard this from a few different medical sources that in hospitals now, if a person is in a hospital for one thing, you say the person is taken to the hospital having a massive heart attack, but they were previously diagnosed with the COVID-19, and they pass away the next morning, they're right away being listed as dying from COVID-19, despite the fact that, well, they had a massive heart attack the night before. Maybe it was the heart attack that killed them. No, they're automatically listing it as COVID-19. Like I said, I don't believe it's as serious as they're telling us. I believe it's more serious than the flu. I don't think the numbers we're being given are accurate. They're not telling you about all the people that have contracted it and have recovered finally without even having any treatment. We are being lied to. We're being played. And the population is following along like a herd of sheep. I pray that people open their eyes and they see what's actually going on out here. And mark my words, when this thing passes, and it will pass in time, when it passes, you're going to see that the numbers for this are not going to be any much different than the numbers we have every year from the flu. And so what are you going to do? You're going to pick and choose which virus you're going to address, whose lives are more important than the other. If we're not going crazy like this over the flu, we should not be going crazy like this over this. I think I covered about everything I wanted to cover on this. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just trying to look at this rationally. I'm not letting fear paralyze me. I'm trying to look at what's going on rationally. I'm trying to get my information from multiple sources and from neutral sources that don't have an agenda to push on me and to make my educated decision. Okay, that's about it for this video. I hope things get back to normal soon. Like I mentioned a little earlier, one of my biggest fears when this passes, and it will pass, I'm confident that it will pass, that everything is going to change. We're going to start to lose that human touch. We're not going to shake hands or hug or kiss people that are close to us. We're going to be in fear of it. And we're going to lose part of our humanity. Please, people, wake up. Don't let that happen. Okay, be safe.